Mali's military leader, Colonel Assimi Goita, is making bold moves to reshape the country's relationship with its natural resources, particularly its vast gold reserves. Since taking charge in 2023, Goita has been shifting the balance of power, aiming to ensure that Mali reaps more benefits from its own wealth. For years, foreign companies, especially those from the West, have dominated Mali's gold industry, extracting immense profits while the nation itself struggles economically. Goita's demand for greater returns from Mali's gold is a clear declaration. It's time for the country to reclaim what's rightfully theirs. But is that really asking too much? These foreign corporations have long enjoyed easy, cost-effective access to Mali's gold, often leaving the country with little to show for its rich resources. This imbalance came to a head recently when Mali's government took a dramatic step by seizing 3 metric tons of gold, valued at $245 million, from Barrick Gold, a Canadian firm that has operated in Mali for over 20 years. So what prompted Mali to seize this gold, and how has Barrick Gold responded? Let's delve into the details. On January 12, 2025, news broke that Mali's authorities had confiscated 3 tons of gold, transporting it to the capital, Bamako. This gold, taken from a mine near Kais in the western part of the country, was moved swiftly by plane and truck. The seizure wasn't a sudden move. It followed a warning issued earlier in the month by Boubacar Moussa Diarra, Mali's senior investigating judge. The letter clearly stated that the gold would be seized, signalling the government's firm stance on taking control of the nation's resources. Barrick Gold, understandably, is in a state of shock. A senior manager from the company disclosed the events, detailing how the seizure unfolded and expressing concern over the situation. As Mali asserts its right to benefit more from its gold, Barrick Gold and other foreign firms operating in the country now face a stark new reality. The era of unchecked access to Mali's riches is coming to an end. Why was the gold seized? The answer lies in a growing conflict that has simmered since 2023 between Mali and foreign mining companies, including Barrick Gold. At the heart of this dispute is Colonel Assimi Goita, Mali's military leader, who, much like President Traoré of Burkina Faso, is deeply committed to his country's independence and sovereignty. But for Goita, sovereignty isn't just a political ideal, it extends directly into Mali's economy, particularly its rich mining sector, which paradoxically leaves the country among the poorest in Africa. Mali is one of Africa's top gold producers, sharing this distinction with Burkina Faso. However, Mali's wealth doesn't stop at gold. The country also boasts significant reserves of manganese and lithium, 2 critical minerals for the global shift toward cleaner energy. Despite their potential, these resources remain largely untapped. Gold, however, is the cornerstone of Mali's economy, accounting for 25% of the national budget, 75% of export earnings, and 10% of its GDP, according to a former mines minister. Clearly, gold is not just a shiny metal for Mali, it's a lifeline. Yet for decades, Mali's gold mining sector has been dominated by foreign companies such as Canada's Barrick Gold and B2 Gold, Australia's Resolute Mining, and the UK's Hummingbird Resources. These firms have long extracted Mali's wealth while the country remained mired in poverty. For Colonel Goita, this imbalance is unacceptable. To achieve true economic independence, he believes Mali must take control of its gold sector. In August 2023, Goita took a decisive step by enacting a new mining code, requiring all foreign companies to comply. But this move wasn't made in a vacuum. Before drafting the new code, an audit of the gold mining industry was conducted, and its findings were startling. Every year, Mali was losing between $500 million and $1 billion in mining revenues due to existing arrangements favoring foreign entities. Imagine the transformation if that money had been funneled into Mali's economy. The impact could have been monumental, potentially lifting the nation from its economic struggles. Motivated by this stark reality, Goita's new mining code allows the government to claim up to 35% stakes in new mineral projects, ensuring that more revenue from Mali's most critical industry remains within the country. So, the gold seizure was not just a random act, it was a deliberate move by a leader determined to reclaim his nation's wealth. Goita's vision is clear. Mali must benefit fully from its natural resources. The conflict between Mali's government and Barrick Gold has escalated sharply due to the enforcement of a new mining code introduced by Colonel Assimi Goita. This code has become a flashpoint, with Barrick Gold refusing to comply, arguing that its operations should be governed by the older regulations in place when the mines were initially developed. Let's break this down. Under the old mining code, Barrick Gold enjoyed significant advantages. They owned a whopping 80% of the Loulo-Gounkoto gold mine, leaving Mali with a mere 20%. On top of that, Barrick was exempt from paying taxes during their operations. Naturally, this arrangement was highly favourable for Barrick, but less so for Mali, which struggled to benefit fully from its own resources. When the new code was introduced, it demanded that foreign companies, including Barrick, surrender a larger share to the Malian government, which could now claim up to 35% stakes in new mineral projects. This meant that Barrick would have to give up a significant portion of its control and profits from the mines. Unsurprisingly, Barrick resisted this change, as it would diminish its dominance and increase its financial obligations to Mali. Faced with Barrick's defiance, Colonel Goita took a decisive and forceful approach. By September 2024, Malian authorities arrested 4 senior executives from Barrick, accusing them of financial misconduct. This bold move signaled that Mali was serious about enforcing its new laws and reclaiming control over its natural wealth. If you're still watching this video, it means you love it. Be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Have you done that? Let's move on. The Malian government has claimed that Barrick Gold owes approximately $512 million, primarily in unpaid taxes and dividends. However, some Western media outlets have suggested that these accusations are baseless, accusing Mali of falsely charging Barrick Gold with financial misconduct. If these allegations were indeed unfounded, why would Barrick Gold offer to pay $370 million? This gesture raises questions about the accuracy of the media's portrayal and hints at deeper complexities in this conflict. Predictably, the media often paints the military leaders of the Sahel in a negative light, aiming to undermine their credibility. In response to Barrick's resistance, Mali took decisive action, including restricting gold exports and issuing an interim order on the existing stock at the Loulo-Gounkoto mine. This move further disrupted Barrick's operations and halted the export of gold. Faced with these aggressive measures, Barrick's CEO, Mark Bristow, issued a stark warning. The company would suspend its operations in Mali unless the situation was resolved. Perhaps Barrick expected this threat to pressure Mali into retreating. However, unlike a civilian government that might have yielded, Mali's military regime remained steadfast in enforcing its new mining regulations. This determination underscored Colonel Assimi Goita's commitment to the new code and his broader vision for economic sovereignty. The situation escalated when Mali seized 3 metric tons of gold from Barrick, a significant blow that forced the company to officially suspend operations in Mali. In a statement, Barrick expressed regret over the suspension and disclosed that the Malian government had transported the seized gold to a custodial bank, further tightening its grip on the company's assets. Not backing down, Barrick Gold sought legal recourse, filing an arbitration request with the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ICSID, against Mali for demanding a larger share of mining profits. This move raises important questions. Will this legal battle lead to a resolution favourable to Barrick? Will it force Mali to back down? Though Barrick might have a strong case, arbitration could drag on for years, with no guarantee that Mali would comply with the final ruling. If Mali defies the outcome, Barrick would bear the brunt of the losses. Analysts suggest that halting production at Loulo-Gounkoto could slash Barrick's earnings before interest, taxes and amortization (EBITDA) by 11% in 2025. While Mali would also face revenue shortfalls, Barrick stands to lose more, given its substantial investments in the mines. Mali, meanwhile, holds a powerful card. It could revoke Barrick's mining license and award it to a company willing to comply with the new rules. Interestingly, Barrick Gold isn't the only mining firm locked in a revenue dispute with Mali, indicating a broader shift in the country's approach to resource management. Back in October 2023, the Malian authorities took a bold step by arresting 3 employees of Resolute Mining, an Australian-based company, including its CEO, Terence Holohan. These executives were held for over a week, until the company agreed to pay $80 million up front and committed to another $80 million in the following months. This move sent a strong message about Mali's new stance on its natural resources. In contrast, other mining companies like Vancouver-based B2 Gold Corp and Allied Gold Corp managed to strike new fiscal agreements with Mali around the same period, without any dramatic confrontations. They saw the writing on the wall and quickly adapted to Mali's new mining code, ensuring they could continue their operations without interruptions. These firms demonstrated a strategic approach, understanding that compliance was the key to maintaining access to Mali's rich mineral resources. So why is Barrick Gold refusing to follow suit? Despite the clear message sent by Mali's actions, Barrick remains defiant, unwilling to adapt to the new rules that demand a fairer share of profits for Mali. Meanwhile, the Western media is spinning its narrative. The Globe and Mail, for instance, published an article framing Mali's actions as a direct consequence of Russian influence. According to their report, Mali's military junta, which took power in a 2021 coup, is clamping down on foreign mining companies, allegedly with Russia's backing. They suggest that the junta's moves are not just about reclaiming control over the mining sector, but also about consolidating power with Moscow's help. The article even speculates that the Malian government might expropriate the Loulo-Gounkoto mine, one of the world's largest gold producers, as part of this broader strategy. It draws a parallel with past incidents, such as the Wagner Group's seizure of a mine in the Central African Republic, implying a similar scenario could unfold in Mali. This narrative, however, seems far-fetched. The connection between Mali's assertive stance on its resources and Russia appears tenuous at best. Yet, it fits a familiar pattern. The West often views alliances with Russia as a threat, using it as a lens through which to interpret all actions taken by governments like Mali's. Ultimately, the Western media's portrayal seems more like an attempt to discredit Mali's leaders by linking them to Russia, reinforcing the notion that any partnership with Moscow automatically makes a regime suspect. This skewed perspective overlooks the real issue at hand: Mali's pursuit of economic justice and sovereignty over its resources. It's truly frustrating to see how some in the West still believe that African nations can't make decisions for themselves, or that they need constant guidance from outside forces. It's as if they think Africans are incapable of handling their own affairs. Take the recent claims made by Western media that Russian troops are involved in seizing mining sites in Mali and neighbouring countries. The problem is, there's absolutely no proof to back up these wild accusations. It's a complete fabrication. Media outlets should be ashamed for spreading such misleading stories with no evidence to support them. Remember last year when some media outlets claimed that Mali was planning to hand over one of its mines to Russia? The real story was much more complex. The mine in question had been controlled by Tuareg rebels, an armed group causing trouble in Mali. These rebels were using the mine to fund their violent activities. With the help of Russian mercenaries, Mali's military was able to take control of the mine and force the rebels out, securing the site for the country's benefit. Afterward, reports started circulating that Mali was planning to give the gold mine operated by Barrick Gold to Russia. And then, to add fuel to the fire, Mali signed a contract with Russia to build a gold refinery. This agreement, which was simply a memorandum of understanding, aims to build a refinery capable of processing 200 tons of gold per year. It would be a game-changer for Mali, allowing the country to fully control its gold production and ensure it receives the proper taxes and duties. But if we entertain the idea that Western media's accusations are true, the next question becomes, why is it any of their business? Mali, just like any other country, is sovereign. It has the right to choose its alliances and make decisions that serve its national interests. This is a principle that the West is very familiar with. Just look at the United States and its foreign policies, which are often centered around protecting its own interests. So why should Mali's decisions be treated any differently? It's the same narrative we're seeing with French President Macron, who insists that Russia is the driving force behind the recent shifts in Africa, especially in the Sahel region. According to him, Russia is somehow responsible for the anti-French sentiments and the rise of coups in the region. But the reality is that people in these countries have grown tired of France's history of exploitation and its failure to address the growing insecurity in the region. The idea that the Russian mercenary group Wagner is somehow behind these coups doesn't hold up when you look at the facts. Macron even went so far as to claim that some African countries only exist because of the French military. How does that even make sense when France's presence in the Sahel has been linked to increased insecurity? The truth is, France has failed to protect the region, and that's why many African nations are now turning to other global players, like Russia and China, who offer a more balanced approach. In the end, African countries are free to make their own choices without interference from the West. Mali, under the leadership of Colonel Assimi Goita, is making sure that it reaps the full benefits of its rich natural resources. We should all support Africa's pursuit of greater sovereignty and self-determination. Mali is simply standing up for itself, and that's something to be applauded. What are your thoughts on foreign countries coming to loot African resources? Let us know in the comment section below.